Welcome back to Crochet 6 Basics. In this video, we'll be covering how to do a single crochet. So we're going to want to start off by making our slip knot and our chain. If you've been following along with the series, you probably already have a chain. I'd suggest making it a little shorter than yours might already be, so maybe like 10 or 15 chains long. So we're going to start by making this chain. And that seems pretty good to me. Now to work our single crochet, we're still going to hold our hook in our dominant hand, our whatever we're working on in our non-dominant hand, and we should be facing our chain so that the end of our chain is in our non-dominant hand, like sort of like this. Now we're going to want to insert our hook into the second chain from our hook. What that means is each of these chains is a distance from our hook, right? So we have our loop on our hook. This is our first chain from our hook, and that means this guy is our second. So you can sort of count these top loops. So this is the first top loop, this is the second top loop, and we're going to go under that second top loop. There's multiple ways to work into your chain. This is just the easiest. So now, still holding that yarn behind, hook on top, we're going to yarn over and we're going to grab that loop and pull it under that loop we've just worked into. And you can see I've kind of caught the underneath strand of my chain. You kind of got to be careful about that, but just pulling through like that. Now you're going to do the same thing. You're going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops. And that's your first single crochet. If you're starting to work in rows, I would suggest tossing a stitch marker on that one really quick, so you can see that this is the loop where our hook was, and this was the loop where our hook was before. That's the top of our first single crochet. I would suggest putting a stitch marker right underneath both of those loops there like that. So now, if we're going to work our second one, that's going to go into this next stitch here. This is our next loop. So go under, we're going to yarn over, pull that through just that loop we were into, and then yarning over and pulling through both. Much like with chaining, you want to turn the mouth of your hook downwards so that you're not catching the loops on your hook. You want to turn that down a bit. And that's all it is for a single crochet. So I'm going to work across the row so I can show you how we can work a single crochet in rows. So I've made it to the last chain, done my last single crochet, and I'm ready to start the next row going back. So in crochet, we're going to do a turning chain. So this is going to be a chain one. Then we're going to turn our work. So that chain one is our turning chain, and it allows us to turn our work and get our rows all nice and parallel. There's not going to be any sort of like puckering on the sides. It allows us to get back up to the height of the stitch. Now, just like when we were working into the second chain from our hook, we're going to work into this second loop from our hook. Or if you like to think about it a different way, the last stitch of our round. So 1, 2, and we're going to go under both of these loops. That's the top of our stitch. So just like we put it in the stitch marker under both of those loops, we're going to put our hook under both of those loops. And from there, we're just going to yarn over and pull it back under that stitch, and yarn over and pull through both loops. And you're going to do the same thing all the way across. So there's our next V. Going to go under both loops of that V, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And that's it. You can just do that all the way across our row. If you're having trouble getting into the tops of these stitches, your tension in the previous row might have been too tight. So try and keep an eye on that. That can make it difficult to work into stitches if you're keeping your tension too tight. The reason I said to put a stitch marker here is because it's really, really common if you're just starting out to miss this last stitch of the row. So it can be helpful if you're worried about that to mark the first stitch of your row so that you know when you're stopping. So we finished that. So I'm going to pull this stitch marker out, keeping note of the loop I need to work into. And I'm going to insert my hook into those loops and finish that single crochet. And so that's it. That's all a single crochet is. You can do scarves with this, you can do anything with this, and that is the most basic crochet stitch. So I'd say get some practice with these, and I will meet you in the next video if you're following along with the Crochet 6 series for half double crochet.